Welcome to the FMSCOUT YouTube channel. My name's Llama, and in this video we're going to be counting down the 3 hardest leagues to win in Football Manager. These are my picks, that you might have had different experiences from your own FM22 saves. So make sure to head down into the comment section and let me know whether you agree with my choices or whether you think there are more challenging leagues to win out there. But before we begin our countdown, why not hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't done already, and hit the bell for notifications so that you are updated every time FMSCOUT releases a new video. And if you like Save Ideas videos, you can always head over to my YouTube channel using the link in the description down below, where you will find guides to the different countries you can manage in Football Manager, as well as a raft of Save Ideas that might just inspire your next FM22 adventure. But without further ado, let's begin our countdown into Football Manager's toughest leagues. Let's start our tour of tough leagues to win in one of Europe's youngest. In the 29 seasons since 1992, 28 league titles have been shared between the Big Two from Belgrade, with Partizan winning 16 titles, whilst rivals Red Star have amassed 12. The only season a team outside the Big Two claimed the title was in 1997-98. So could you take charge of one of Serbia's other clubs and become only the 4th side to lift the title? So for our first pick, we've gone for Serbia, and what a tough league to win this is. It may be a young league, having been formed in 1992, but don't be fooled, Red Star and Partizan were dominating Yugoslav football before that, and only 3 clubs have ever won the Serbian league, and of those, Obilic don't even exist any longer. There's a reformed Phoenix club playing in the lowest level of Serbian football, but you can't take charge of them in Football Manager. Only Partizan and Red Star are available for you to manage that have ever won the Serbian title. Let's have a look at those 2 great clubs to get a feel for the scale of task that you would be up against if you were to win the title in Serbia. The size of the challenge of winning the Serbian league with a club other than Partizan or Red Star starts to dawn on you when you check out the facilities, finances and history of these 2 great clubs. Let's start with Red Star, a 51,000 capacity stadium. They may not have won the Serbian Super League as many times as Partizan, but when you throw in their 19 Yugoslav league titles as well, they are the most successful club from this nation, and they have won Europe's top prize in 1991 when they managed to win the European Cup, but their finances set them apart from even Partizan. Nearly 17 million in the bank, a transfer budget approaching 2.5 million, and room in a wage budget that comes in at almost £151,000 a week. We compare that to Partizan, well, they're not too badly resourced either. 13 million in the bank, a transfer budget of just over 1.5 million, and a wage budget approaching £90,000 a week shows that they have got plenty of financial muscle as well. They've got a near on 30,000 capacity stadium, and they have won more Serbian titles than any other club, lifting that title 16 times, and they were champions of Yugoslavia 11 times as well. So both of these clubs are going to be an incredibly difficult proposition for you to try and topple. Maybe we should have a look at some of the clubs that you could try and achieve that feat with. So let's contrast the resources of the Big Two with another large team by Serbian standards in FK Vojvodina, 2-time Serbian Cup winners. The most recent of their victories coming just in 2020. They've got a 14,500 capacity stadium, but the size of the challenge that would await you if you took over starts to become apparent if you have a look at the finances of the club. Remember, Red Star had a weekly wage budget of £150,000 a week. Vojvodina's is less than £20,000 per week. Trying to topple both Red Star and Partizan in the same season with less than 20k a week to spend on wages is going to be one almighty challenge, but we could drop down to the second tier of Serbian football, where the challenge only gets greater. The Serbian second tier has a host of clubs just waiting for you to take over and guide them to become only Serbia's 4th ever league winners. What about taking charge of another club from Belgrade so that you were right in the backyard of Partizan and Red Star? Well, you could do that at OFK Sharkova, who play at a 1,000 capacity stadium, and the difference between them and the big clubs from the city becomes only too apparent when you check out the finances. They've got less than £250,000 in their bank balance, and they've got a wage budget per week of less than £4,000. Just getting this club promoted to the top division is going to be an achievement, but then building them to a size where you can deprive the big two of a league title is going to be an almighty quest. The only reason I don't think the challenge in Serbia is even harder is because there are only 2 playable tiers in Football Manager. Maybe we should check out a country where the league structure goes even deeper. In 124 seasons of Scottish football, only 11 clubs have been crowned league winners. Rangers won 54 titles before bankruptcy and demotions in 2012, with Steven Gerrard claiming title 55 last season. Like Rangers, Celtic have experienced European glory in addition to winning the title 51 times. Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen were the last team outside the old firm to win the title. But could you take charge of one of Scotland's other clubs and challenge the old firm's dominance? So there can't be many greater challenges in Football Manager than finishing ahead of both Celtic and Rangers to win the Scottish title. The size of the old firm clubs makes this an almighty challenge. Champions Rangers have got a 50,000 capacity stadium, and in terms of their finances, well, they may only have £12 million in the bank, but look at the weekly wage budget set at £511,000 a week. And in your first season, they'd have Champions League football to bolster their finances. When you contrast that with Celtic, who may have a slightly smaller wage budget of £460,000 a week, but check out the bank balance, almost £60 million there to help build the club. £4.5 million as a transfer budget. And these two clubs are only going to improve their finances whilst you're trying to build a club just capable of qualifying for European football. Maybe we should take a look at a couple of the clubs that you could try and achieve this epic challenge with. So for a slightly shorter term challenge, you could go for the last club to win the Scottish title before Rangers and Celtic, and that was Aberdeen under Alex Ferguson back in 1985. They've got a 21,000 capacity stadium. They're due to move to a new arena in 2023, but compare the £500,000 a week to spend on wages that Rangers have to just the £98,000 a week that Aberdeen have, and you'll see why this is already looking like a difficult challenge. Not impossible, though, but if you head down the Scottish leagues where there are 4 playable divisions, the challenge gets even tougher. For example, the club predicted to finish bottom of Scotland's 4th tier are Albion Rovers, whereas Celtic can boast a stadium that holds 60,000 supporters. The wee Rovers can squeeze just over 1,500 into their ground, whereas Rangers can afford to lavish more than £500,000 a week on wages, while Albion Rovers can stretch to just over £1,800 a week. Even taking a club this size through the leagues and reaching the Scottish top division is going to be a challenge, but building them to the size where they can finish above both Celtic and Rangers in the same season is going to be an almighty adventure. Is there a bigger challenge out there in Football Manager? Well, I think, arguably, there might just be one. This season marks the 88th edition of the Portuguese Primeira Liga. In that time, there have only been 2 seasons where one of the big 3 have not emerged victorious. Lisbon giants Benfica have amassed 37 league wins. Fellow European Cup winners Porto have 29. And former European Cup winners Cup victors Sporting have 19. But could you guide a 6th club to the summit of Portuguese football? So for my choice for the most difficult league to win in Football Manager, I've gone for Portugal. Others might disagree. Let me know what you think the most difficult league to win is down in the comments. But in 88 seasons of Portuguese football, in only 2 of those have one of Sporting, Benfica or Porto not been crowned the champions. All 3 of those clubs have also won European honours. Just winning this league with another club from the top flight would be difficult enough. But Football Manager now takes the Portuguese league down to 4 tiers of clubs that you could take charge of, and some of the clubs in that 4th tier are absolutely tiny by comparison to the leading names. For example, let's start by checking out Benfica. The Estádio da Luz holds just under 65,000 fans, but it's their wage budget that makes Benfica such a force in Football Manager. The biggest wage budget we've seen so far, with more than £800,000 a week to be attributed to assembling a playing squad. Porto and Sporting have slightly lower wage budgets, but they are still huge in comparison to one of the other clubs that has won the Portuguese league. For example, at Porto City rivals Boavista, who won the league in 2001, you're going to start the game in debt, you'll have a transfer budget of absolutely nothing, and just a wage budget of £64,000 a week to try and build a squad that could finish not just above Sporting, but also above Porto and Benfica as well. This is what makes the Portuguese challenge so great. If just one of those clubs has an off-season, normally it's the other two that are there to capitalise, building a squad capable of winning the league and finishing above all three of those giants would be an epic task, but not as big as rising up through the Portuguese leagues first with a club that starts off as amateur. Clubs like Operário are one of the reasons why I think Portugal might just be the toughest challenge in Football Manager. They start in the 4th tier of Portuguese football. They're based on the Azores, a group of islands way out in the Atlantic. Their stadium holds only 800 supporters, and as an amateur club, they will give you a wage budget of absolutely nothing to start trying to build your squad. It also means that any good talent you have can get poached from you. So given those restrictions, just making it out of the 4th tier would be difficult enough. Never mind the challenge of reaching the top flight. But once there, could you take them into European competition, maybe even win a cup, and then one day finish above the big three and win the Portuguese title if you can do that with a club that starts in the 4th tier and starts out as amateur? That has got to be not just an epic achievement, but an absolute odyssey. So there's my countdown for the top 3 most difficult leagues to win in Football Manager, but you might not agree, so don't forget to head down to the comments and tell me which league you found the most challenging to win in your Football Manager saves. And don't forget to subscribe to the FM Scout channel and hit that notification bell, because more videos will be coming from FM Scout very soon.